everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 4 soup recipes in the crock pot. The best way to make soups, in my opinion. These are going to be fast, easy, dump and go recipes. I hope that you enjoy these recipes, and I hope there are some new recipes that maybe you've never tried before. I know it's a busy season with school and with kids going to practices and just different sports and everything. So hopefully these will be an extra blessing to you and your family. And go ahead and grab your apron and let's get started. To start us off, we're going to be making this creamy sausage and potato soup. So we're going to need 1 pound of Italian sausage, and we're just going to ground this up until it's nice and brown. And once that's done cooking, then we're going to get out our slow cooker, and at the bottom of our slow cooker, we're going to put 4 cups of chicken broth, and then 1 pound of russet potatoes, half an onion, and then 2 stalks of celery. And then we're going to put in 2 cloves of garlic. And then after all that's combined, we're going to add in our sausage that we made earlier. Okay, and we're going to put the lid on, and we are going to cook this on high for about 4 hours. And then right before it's done cooking, we're going to get started on our sauce just to thicken it up. So you're going to need half a stick of butter, and we're just going to melt it down to get it completely melted through. And then we're going to add in our flour. Once that's melted through, we're actually going to add in about 6 tablespoons of flour and just kind of mix that with the butter until it is well combined. So probably a good couple minutes after you put it in there. And then while that's kind of cooking, you're going to get 2 cups of half and half, and you're just going to stir that in a little bit at a time until it is nice and thick and all the milk is gone. But you don't want to add all of it all at once. You just want to add a little bit at a time to get it stirred through properly. Also, make sure that you are stirring consistently all the way through. You don't want this to scorch on the bottom. After it's all mixed through, I would still let it thicken for maybe about 5 more minutes, stirring consistently. And then once it's the thickness that you want, you're just gonna basically plop it into this crock pot with your potatoes and sausage. And this is just going to thicken it up just a little bit to kind of give it that creamy texture. And if you want to, this would be good with some bacon. I do add in about 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. I don't even know if I'm saying that properly, but I do add in some of that. You can add in some red pepper flakes to give it more of a kick. I was feeding this to my kids, so I try not to spice it up too much because I do want them to eat my meals. And this is what it looks like when it's all done. It was very flavorful. It was pretty thick and creamy, and it was delicious. My kids loved it. Next, I'm going to be making this white chicken chili. So in our crock pot, we're going to put 1 pound of chicken breast, so about 2 to 3 chicken breasts. And then I'm going to layer it with some salt. So 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 3/4 teaspoon of oregano, half a teaspoon of chili powder, and if you want to, you can add in about 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I didn't because I wanted my kids to eat this, and that would be way too spicy for them. Now I'm going to put in about a whole diced onion, and then I'm going to layer it with my beans. So I need about 2 cans of the Great Northern beans, and then 1 can of corn, and then 2 4-ounce
cans of green chilies, and then 24 ounces of chicken broth. And then we're going to put in a little bit of garlic, about 2 cloves of garlic. This meal is going to be very, very flavorful. All of my kids loved it, and I think this was my husband's favorite meal that I made out of all these Crockpot soup recipes. So I know that you are going to love it. If you make this meal, leave a comment below and just let me know what you think about it and how it turned out. And this is all the ingredients that you will need for this. You can stir it up just a little bit, but we are going to put it on high for about 4 to 6 hours, just until the chicken is nice and tender and the onions are nice and tender. And now we're just going to shred the chicken. I'm just going to take it out and shred it a little bit, and then I will put it back into the pot. And I'm just putting all the shredded chicken back into the crock pot, and I put 4 ounces of cream cheese and then 1/4 cup of half and half, but later I actually go ahead and put the rest of that cream cheese back in. So I use a whole block of cream cheese just to make it extra creamy. And this is what it looks like when it's all done. This was very creamy. The chicken was so tender, and I loved the beans that we put in it. We don't really cook with northern beans a whole lot, but this was absolutely divine for this meal. Now I'll be making this chili macaroni soup. So I'm going to need 1 pound of ground beef, and yeah, I totally make a mess there. But you're going to grind up this 1 pound of ground beef, and then we're going to add it to the very bottom of our slow cooker. And then we're going to add in 3 cups of chicken broth. And then we have our canned beans. So we have 3 cans of chili beans that we're going to add to this meal. And then we're going to add 1 can of just diced tomatoes. We're going to add a can of tomato sauce. These are all going to be like 15-ounce cans, just regular cans of diced tomatoes and tomato sauce. Okay, and now we're going to add in some seasonings. So first we're going to do some cumin, which is 1 teaspoon of cumin. And then we're going to do a whole tablespoon of chili powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. And we're just going to give this a good stir, and then we're just going to put the lid on and let this cook on low for about 6 hours or on high for about 4 hours, just until everything is nice and cooked through. The beans are nice and cooked through. And then about 30 minutes before this is done cooking, we're going to get started on our macaroni. We need 2 cups of macaroni. So I have it measured out here, and this is me just cooking the macaroni according to the box. And then once it's almost cooked through, because it's going to cook a little bit in the crock pot, so keep that in mind. But when it's almost cooked through, then you're going to add it to this crock pot. And this you see here, I took it off for about 30 minutes already. I took it off the burner, but it's still cooking. It's still really hot. And then I'm adding in about 1 cup to 1.5 cups of shredded cheese to this meal, just to give it some extra flavor. And then we're going to add in our macaroni noodles. That's it. Everything is ready to go. Of course, my kids loved this meal because it has macaroni noodles in it, so what kid doesn't? This definitely wasn't my husband's favorite meal out of all of these, but we still enjoyed it. I really liked it. I thought it was delicious. And here's kind of a close-up of what it looks like. You can put in some sour cream, some shredded cheese on top. You can have this with some crackers, some bread. That would be delicious as well. Next, we're going to be making this chicken tortilla soup. So at the bottom of a crock pot, I'm just going to spray it just because I don't want the chicken to stick. And we're going to put 2 large chicken breasts at the very bottom. And then we're going to put in about half a diced onion. And then I put in like a little bit of jalapenos and green bell peppers that were from my garden that I need to use up. And then I'm going to add in 1 can of corn, a can of Rotels, and then I have about 5 cups of chicken broth. Right here is just 4, and then you'll see me add another cup later. And then I'm going to add in a can of black beans that were dried and rinsed. And then I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of cumin and then a tablespoon of tomato paste. I need about an ounce of taco seasoning, so I wanted to go ahead and use up this taco packet that I had. I used a little bit out of it, so here I'm just using the rest of it, and then I'm going to pour a little bit more from my big container of taco seasoning. I just like to use what's in my pantry first before I use anything else. And then here I'm just adding the other cup of chicken broth, and then I'm kind of just using this whisk to stir it up properly, just to kind of get that taco seasoning all mixed through properly. And then I'm going to put the lid on. I'm going to cook this on low for about, I think I cook it for about 7 hours. But you'll see here that I am trying to get the chicken out, and it's super, super tender. I have a hard time even like getting out properly because it's like falling apart. Yep. But I'm just going to take this out, and I'm just going to shred it accordingly. And then we're going to put it back into the crock pot. And then here I have a whole block of cream cheese. We're going to make this into like a creamy style chicken tortilla soup. I have about a cup of shredded cheese that I add as well, just to give it some extra flavor. And I'm just going to let that cook while I am shredding my chicken. Okay, and now that all my chicken is shredded, I'm going to go ahead and add it all back to my crock pot and just give it a really good stir. You can kind of see the cream cheese is not breaking down like it's supposed to be because I use like an off-brand. If you use like Philadelphia cream cheese, it won't do that, but it tastes the same. It really does, and me and my family don't really care, but you can kind of just use a fork just to kind of, I guess, crush it down a little bit to get it stirred through properly. I don't know how you would do it, but it tastes the same, so I don't really care about it. But this is what it looks like when it's all done. It was very flavorful, and it was actually kind of spicy. So if you're adding jalapenos or cayenne pepper, you know, it's going to be pretty spicy. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you try any of these recipes, please leave a comment below, and I will see you in the next video, and subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. Bye for now.